one time I heard that you were working with very, very low budget equipment, that you even done a tripod out of Legos. Hello and welcome to another episode of the watchcollectivetwo podcast. My name is Ahmed Gaudat. I'm your host and one of the watchcollectivetwo. And today I have a very special guest. I have one of my favorite YouTubers, the wizard of video editing and the sharp content in under 8 minutes to review a watch. Today I have design ateliers and Flux watches, Jayson De Castro. Hello Jayson, how are you doing?
Good. The pleasure's mine.
Thank you so much for accepting the invite. I've been waiting for this, and we have been in
touch for a while, yeah.
Yes. And I'm honored today to have you, to be honest. We have a lot of things to talk about. And on the hopes that one day you're going to teach me how to edit like you, man. I mean...
It's not that hard, man. The thing is like, that it's time-consuming, as you may know.
I know. But you are the one who edits watch content, which is the same level as photography content creation, so it's extremely hard. But I think the right start from the beginning, I think, to have a background about Jayson, aside from watches, because I know like our previous lives, it is the one which is affecting ours now. So I think that will be the right start. What do you think?
Yeah, sure, it is. To me, when I'm really, even when I was a kid, I really wanted to draw a lot. I wanted to be an architect. I wanted to be an artist. But, in the Philippines, it's hard to get off anything from that kind of career. So I really did not put so much attention to it until I came to Aruba, when my parents took me in, and I built my life there. And, the wonderful thing about the internet is it's global. So gradually, I got my art noticed by other people. I used to draw comic books. I got published in a really small independent publisher in Chicago for a couple of years. And then gaming started to rise, PC gaming. And Valve had a really nice game going on.
Such a big name, huh?
Yeah, it's the thing about that is like they're games, and games are games. We buy them, we play them. But then there's this one game that they allowed their gamers, their users, to create content for their game, like 3D content, like hats,
merchandise,
art, merchandise. And I kind of like that, because now I'm not just playing, I'm designing something. So we got into that scene, and then sooner or later they opened up a whole store. And they took in like a lot of our items. Even to today, I'm still getting royalties from that. And that was an experience, and that gave me a taste of designing something and earning something from that.
Yes.
And from that point on, I started dabbling with other graphics design, other design-oriented media and things to do. And then the pandemic came. And we had nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I've been like thinking about making a YouTube channel for Gunpla, like those model kits that you modify. But then I also got into watches. So I say, you know what? Let me just do it about watches. The only problem is because I don't get watches often, especially in the small island. So I hopped into these streams. I always hop into Random Rob, because he's the regular streamer every Monday. And I ask people there, hey, is it possible to actually start a YouTube channel?
Yeah.
All about talking about watches and their design, but without having the watches in your hand, because it's impossible for me to get a Hublot, Big Bang, Uniqlo, whatever, And then one of the guests or one of the people in the stream said, I would prefer that you handle the watch, because why would I give you credibility? Why would I believe you? You never had the watch in your hand.
Yeah.
Right?
You have to experience
you
it
have to
and
experience
test
it. Yeah. Okay. So I took it on as a challenge. Okay. To prove him wrong, Let me start a YouTube channel and just start talking about watches, but on a design side of the watch, because design is very visual, and that's something that we could do even if you didn't have the watch in hand. You can always like look a poster, look at a video, and then do that. So I looked for the most efficient app on an iPad, and try to do something with it. So I basically just bought 2 apps. One app is Procreate, which I still use today. That's what I use to draw.
Yeah, I've seen the renders of some stuff on it.
Yeah, and they have some really cool features. They also have screen capturing, so it captures every single stroke that I made, which I also made use in the video editing side. So in one flow, I take a video, or take a photo of the watch, or take a video from anywhere else, pose it, and use that captured image in Procreate, do my scribbling there, and then move it to, I think it was LumaFusion back in the time, but now I moved to Final Cut Pro, and that's where I finish everything. So I created a stream and a flow of procedures in my process, and I just kept at it until I got used to it, and then I started playing around with the effects and playing around with the editing. Now that's when I started getting some watches from other micro brands. Zelos was one of the first ones.
Yes, I remember. Because I've been a fan since very long time.
Oh man, I mean, like I always owe Elshan a very big debt, because of him, I got my foot in the door of the watch industry, not just in content creation, but also in the industry itself. And also Mark from Long Island Watches, he to this day, he always says that he wants to support the smaller YouTubers, and I always support that because I was one of them. Of course, he didn't give me the watch. Like he always has that. He said, "Now I never give out watches," but he did give me a very good discount because he knows that it's going to be for the content, and that's how we started.
And Design Atelier, it wasn't at the very beginning YouTube channel for watches, right? It was general the design.
Yes, exactly. That's why I call it Design Atelier, because it's a workshop for design. So I have the opportunity to expand it. I was thinking ahead that maybe in time I could talk about any other design. I actually had the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
When it was announced, I took a stab at that. I had Mandalorian for some reason, I forgot. Lego Super Mario, which is immediately struck by Nintendo. So that's why, okay, so I can't talk about anything. It's like kind of a bummer. So that's why I just stuck with the watches, because that's where also part of the hobby and the enthusiasm is more focused on. So.
And the watch bug bites you as well, so it's extremely hard to get aside from watches when you get into it. But how did you access watches at the very beginning? I mean, because I struggled myself. So I had a collection, I started shooting and all of this, but at a certain point in time, my collection was gonna run out, and I cannot keep the flow of cash to get new watches on my own expense. So how did you manage this?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, how I started there was, you saw the person who started it. It's my wife. She bought me a black Movado BCU.
Yeah.
I think I featured it a few
Yes,
times.
I remember this exact watch.
Yeah, and I was in love with it. She knows my taste. I love black watches, and I love black stuff. I mean, like, I have a black shirt now, so that's kind of telling. But she's the one who started it, and ever since then I've been hooked into watches. And yes, that was one of the main problems. You can't buy so many watches for a YouTube channel. I was wondering how the other YouTubers were doing it. It turns out, they get sponsored by watch shops, and then they send them watches and they send them back. Okay, so that's not gonna happen with me because we're in a small island. But you know what happened? It also happened with me, even in the small island, because in time I started to grow the channel. I was like, wait, I'm getting 2,000 subscribers, going up to 3,000. Let me go to one of the big shops in Aruba, and I asked Shivas, hey, I'm a YouTuber in the island, and
I'm the only YouTuber in the island, most probably.
yeah. Well, there are other YouTubers, but none in the watch or luxury arena or area. And I said, yeah, you know what? I want to film some of your watches, and here's the deal. I I I'm just gonna film it, and I'm gonna make two versions of the video. One version is for you, and one version is for me. Is that okay? I mean, you don't have to pay me.
And that's a lot of work, huh?
That's a lot of work. Well, that's a lot of work initially, the initial setup, but then it turned out to be just a matter of replacing the intros and the outros.
Yeah.
And then some editings in the middle, because some of the stuff in the middle, the brands didn't want to talk about those. Okay, don't talk about that. Don't talk about this. So hey, don't say that our links are like flimsy and all that kind of stuff, for example. So you can't say that. So, but in my own channel, I could do that. I could say whatever I want.
Yeah.
And they agreed to that, surprisingly.
Because it's not a PR anymore, you know. It's
Yeah.
it's an actual review.
Because for them, it has to be a promotion for
Yeah,
them.
politically
Yeah.
correct. I mean, I'm promoting,
Yeah.
so.
Otherwise, they'll also run into trouble with the brands.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that went on for a year. Like every weekend, I go to them. I film 5 or 6 watches or so. Well, no, not 5 or 6. Maybe 3 or up to 3 to 5 watches or so. Every weekend, every Saturday. So I created another flow there. So I create a setup. I know which scenes that I'm going to make, or when I'm going to make a scene with the wrist shot, then cut it, then put on a different watch, create that same scene, and then I move the light. I only have one softbox.
Yeah.
So I try to make sure that it's done efficiently. And the only constant that's changing is, of course, the lighting and the camera angle.
So I sometimes I get a little bit like not arrogant or egoistic, but thinking with myself. I think I'm a little bit creative person, but when I look at you, man, I feel like I'm not even close. You are very versatile. You edit, you render yourself. You even, one time I heard that you were working with very, very like low budget equipment, that you even done a tripod out of Legos. So the creativity and the design aspect and how to be versatile, it looks like it's in your DNA, which makes us move to another thing. You had a project which is related to watch, I don't know how to call it. It's like watch comics related, maybe. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's an attempt for me also to introduce my graphic novel, graphic arts expertise, let's just say that, or skill or experience. There you go. That's a much better word for that. And include it into watches. And we've seen so many pop art coming up, like Funko Pop. I saw there's a statue of what's it called, Cause in the hallway there. That is booming now. And we thought, hey, and I thought, I was talking to my son, because we're looking for something to do also, because he's growing up, and also I wanted to train him and introduce to him that idea of you start building for yourself now, early, as a young person.
It's a good advice, actually.
Because it's very easy to just like sit there and scroll on the screen for hours on end. I know, because I've been there. And I told him, look, you have to do something. You have to have a hobby. And we were thinking about something that we could do between the two of us. And then that idea popped up. What about doing some sort of caricature? So the body is something that we could always modify, or whoever it may be, because we can get away with it. We can put some iconic artist or athlete.
There is no copyright on a comic body.
Yeah, on body shapes and all that. There's no way that they could do that. But at the same time, I had some experience with copywriting because of my previous experience with Valve and content creation for them, because that was one of their stipulations. it needs to be copyright safe. Otherwise, they won't approve it.
Yeah.
And we've created like over 300, 400 items during my run with them.
Oh.
And they accepted around 40 out of our items, which is quite a lot considering at that time. And so I had experience with that, so I tried to infuse that into this art. And then the watch part is, of course, we're always finicky with the bezels, with the kind of knurlings that we use, and the kind of crowns and cases, and we have that. And that's where the fun begins in that kind of illustration. So I started drawing stuff, but making sure that I put those small detailed attentions into the watch art. But then, of course, deviating enough so that Rolex won't sue us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and IWC won't come after us. So that's how that art form, I guess, came about. And we even got copyrighted for that. Somebody invested in me and established the brand. But now, of course, sadly, that also got sold, so I can't mention its name anymore. But I could still create the art because you cannot copyright the art that I made.
Yeah, but it was doing a good hype. I remember I saw some YouTuber / Instagrammer, I don't know, somebody was taking a photo with it, Raman Sharf maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it was Raman Sharf.
Yeah, Raman Sharf maybe. And I was like reading the caption on the post, and then I found it was you.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, you're one of the few YouTubers that I watch, not because anything, but I am pretty much picky. So the first thing
I'm flattered, man.
oh yeah, to be honest, I'm just like being honest with you. And I don't know if you remember when the first time we talked, I told you I'm a big fan. First thing, your editing stands out, and I'm a guy who appreciates this thing. Second, your videos are extremely quick. I know people, when they even get more subscribers and followers and all of this, they try to prolong the video because the revenue which can come out of YouTube is gonna be better. But yours kept like being 8 minutes, 10 minutes maybe. So I get whatever information I want within a time that I can actually withstand, right? I remember the first video that I saw, it was the Nova watch which flips, because there was something strange as well. I like strange watches. So I do you think that your style of videos was one key reason for you to grow?
Yeah, the thing about growing a YouTube channel is I try to keep it as natural as possible. There are some people, I don't know, I mean, like, I keep hearing that, but I could not find any evidence of it either. But they say that you could buy subscribers, you could buy views and all that. I assume that there's an industry there, you know, and
A multi-billion-dollar industry.
might
there.
be, because I mean, like, there's multiple. I get emails almost twice a week now of offering those kind of things, thumbnail creation also, and I always thought that there's a value in naturalness. Even with comic books, when I tried to draw comic books back in the time, I could have drawn everything straight onto the screen.
Yep.
But I still value the minutia of drawing it on paper and drawing it on an actually drawing it, especially now with AI being very, very popular. I value the naturalness of the art from your hand, and I think that also funnels back to the way I create videos. I just want to create something that I think is entertaining, because at some point when you're in YouTube, you also dabble with analytics and all that, and according to my analytics, my viewership peaks at 2.5 minutes. Okay. And I was making 15-minute videos before. You could see some of them, and like 15, some of them even 20 and all that. But the viewership is not there. Only an average of 2.5 minutes. So, okay, so why not just cut it instead of 15?
Keep the retention,
just keep cutting it until I came to the Goldilocks. At least for me, the Goldilocks length was around 7 to 8 minutes, maybe 10, under 10 minutes. That's my thing. So at least if they watch 5 or 4 minutes of it, they almost watch half. So at least I know that they watch almost half of my video instead of like a third or a quarter of the video if it was longer.
Yeah, I mean the retention percentage is gonna be higher, so it's gonna be pushed more to more audience.
Yeah, of course, as an artist, you want your art to be watched. You want your art to be seen, and I think that's an inevitable aspect of the craft. But at the same time, I can't help it. I mean, like sometimes I tried reducing some of the work. No background music, no scribbles, and then when I look at the product, man, I feel like I feel like I cheated the audience. So at some point, I just developed this kind of what you've seen now in the past 2 years. This kind of style of watch reviewing. That I just talk like some sort of story, but at the same time keeping you entertained with all of the transitions and all that, because it's actually easier to do than most people think, or maybe what you think, because I just put the iPad on the table and I could pause the iPad, and since I'm shooting with an iPhone.
You do your reviews till now with an iPhone?
Yeah. Until now.
Oh. Okay.
And that's let's just say I don't have the funds to buy a camera, because all of our cash flow and our funds are very, very tight.
I mean, your lighting must be great.
Well,
this quality.
Well, I still also have 2 light sources, as you could see. But the big convenience there is that everything is in iOS. So when I'm done with the iPhone shot, I immediately transfer it to the iPad. I'm editing on the fly.
Yeah.
So I could pause at the right keyframe, and then I try to replicate that for the next transition. But while doing that, I also must know the next transition, what I'm going to do.
Storyboard should be.
Yeah, exactly. I used to storyboard a lot. Sometimes I still do when it's a really complicated shot. But then sometimes it's really just out of convenience. I already know, okay, if I snapped here, then I'll pull next. And then I'll flick next, and then so it's just now, because it's a constant thing that I do now.
Yeah, but you do more than these things. You do like green screen on the tablet, and then I mean, I mean, I know because I edit myself a little bit, so it's pretty impressive, right? And maybe we can move from the whole chapter of content creation. Because I think you're doing a great job. You're now standing on 20-something.
Yeah, 25, which is not bad. I'm pretty surprised that I made that far.
I mean, I have 500, so I mean, 26 looks like a long shot.
Well, it takes time.
Yeah, of course. And also you mentioned it to me when we talked previously, and you told me like it took you years to reach this level. But moving from being a content creator for watches, and touch wood, you're doing great, into moving into something related to brand founding or watch design, right? So you had a stop, which is Horology Story, right? So let's start with what was Horology Story at the beginning.
Yeah, Horology Story was founded by Adrian, and I collaborated, not really collaborated. I reviewed one of his watches. The first watch that I reviewed from him was the Legato Diver from Maestro Works. He used that brand, or he had that brand, to launch that watch. And I said, I like that. And then, not just that, he was communicating with me about other stuff we had, let's just say that we had the same line of taste when it comes to art, and when it comes to music as well. And we communicated outside of the
watch
Legato
theme.
Diver. Yeah. And then I found out that he also has a Horology Story. And then I found out that he also carries micro brands in Indonesia. And I was like fascinated about that. But he also knew that I was drawing stuff. And I had some designs. I even had that figure, that watch art that we had, and and he was really interested in collaborating with me. So okay, let's try and really actually collaborate even more, but more on the YouTube side, because his YouTube content is strictly Indonesian, and he was looking for a way to
Make it a little bit international.
Yes, exactly. And that's where something clicked in my head. Hey, you know what? We could collaborate. Whatever watches you review, I can make an English version of that, but of course in my own style. Or you can send me watches, I send you watches, you know, and we really, it's a really more intricate collaboration between two channels.
We do that. I do this. I used to do this as well, like a buyer's club, you know. So it's like we share the resources.
Yeah. And then we really actually did that for a few videos. You could even see that my videos were sponsored by Horology Story, because he sent me a watch, you know, and I sent him watches, and he promised that, yeah, okay, I want to make you as like my international arm, or international facet of some sort of organization. So Horology Story is just part of that one big plan that he has. It's a YouTube channel with a store, and even down to a micro brand assistance service, you know, because he's also working with other
Consultancy
industries.
or funding?
Well, everything. You just go to him, and then if you have an idea, he has the suppliers to help you out, and he has a designer on the works, which is kind of like
Which
me.
is not a bad concept.
Yeah, and I like that, because I was already thinking about that as well when I started communicating with the other suppliers. In fact, I tried 3 times with Kickstarter on my own, because I found one of the watches that I reviewed, one of their suppliers, which I cannot name for confidential reasons, of course, and they reached out to me. Hey, you know, we saw that you also design watches. I posted it in Instagram. We can design that watch for you. We can make that watch for you. I said, okay, that's a great idea. So how is it gonna go? Yeah, you design it. We'll try to make it into a 3D render, and then here, $9,000 for the.
Yeah, it's a little bit overpriced.
Okay,
like,
okay. So $9,000. Okay, I think I can still do that. I could sell my Submariner. I have it there. I can sell my Submariner and then fund the thing. Okay, cool. Let's try and plan it out. But then I tried to go to Kickstarter, and lo and behold, yeah, Kickstarter doesn't support Aruba. Okay, so that the dreams are dashed because of that.
Oh, I didn't know this.
No, that's a problem, because in Aruba you can only pay, for example, with PayPal, but you cannot receive money from PayPal, for example. So the Aruban currency has a problem with e-commerce. They didn't set it up. That's the whole issue. But anyway, that was the thing. So I failed with Kickstarter 3 times. I tried to partner up with other people. It didn't go so well. I tried redesigning a watch to make it more affordable. Yeah, it's still a lot of money, so I gave up. But then, yeah, going back to Horology Story, he said, you know, I can do the rest. I can do all of that. And you name how much percentage you want. I say, okay, I have no clue how much percentage are we talking about here. So let me give this figure. And he agreed. Oh, okay. So let's do it. Oh, all right. That was neat. That was neat. That was quick. That's cool. So I designed a whole collection. Maybe I can pass it on to you. You can put it up. Of course. And he liked it. And I drew the specifications. I wanted this kind of lugs. I wanted this kind of parts. And he was able to make it. And he was able to produce it. Even the prototypes got sent to my to the island. So okay, this is nice. This is neat. We can continue doing this. We can make brands and all that kind of stuff. But of course, there's
hiccups.
There's massive hiccups. I think it's I think it was really telling when he immediately agreed to the percentage that I threw out. You know, the more that I experience, the more that I have experience in this kind of industry, the more that I realize now, okay, that was kind of suspicious. And then, yeah, the watch got somewhat almost produced, but the supplier is saying, hey, when are you guys going to send the rest of the payment. Well, I don't know. I mean, that's not my area. And it turns out that he did not complete the order as of yet. So it took a while. It took months, to the point that the supplier said, you know, we're just gonna burn the whole supply because
Oh
you
my
couldn't fulfill the rest of the
And it was already pre-ordered, huh? Pre-ordered.
yeah,
by
well,
people.
he already, yeah, it's already, it was supposed to go in Kickstarter, but then he ended up doing it on his own. So no more Kickstarters. He just put it up in his own website, and people will be ready to order it. And then it took a while, and I was like really also be very anxious about the problem, because Design Atelier is connected to the watch. It's literally engraved to the back. And
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna. It is connected to the repetition
Yeah.
of what you have been building.
Yeah, I don't want that situation to be, to be connected in that situation. So I really had multiple months. It took almost 2 years for there to be an actual movement or resolution to it. In time, he actually finally was able to get the full order in, but he did not pay the rest of the stuff that he owes me. I actually sent him watches. He still owes me that. He still owes me the sponsorship of the channel, which was also agreed and signed. We even had a settlement, which is still
Yep.
also not honored, even though it's signed by both parties. So that's what the situation is now, and I'll just leave it at that and see what's going to happen. But I mean, I'm used to that kind of situation anyway. It's just that this one is magnified a little bit more and a little bit more complicated, because now you see my face on a YouTube channel compared to before that I was hired as a graphics designer. And some of these projects, I've had clients that did not pay me back in the time, so I know the experience. That's just part of the
Yeah,
game.
me too. So
That's the sad reality of us freelancers. But we can make steps in a way to ensure that we at least get compensated for the time, because it's the time that's really important.
But coming back to you mentioning that you had a couple of attempts on Kickstarter, I mean, you are known YouTuber, let's say relatively known YouTuber. You're one of the known YouTubers, and you have influence, you have followers. What do you think the reasons behind not making it on Kickstarter while a lot of people? So you're a designer, so you're gonna do a good watch, right? Second thing, you have your influence, you have your channel, you have your followers. So what do you think were the reasons behind not succeeding on Kickstarter while people do not have any of these things? Just make it.
Yeah. Well, that is actually part of the problem, because they have all of these sort of materials, or sort of the tools. There you go. They have all of the tools possible for them to actually make their watch, and many have done so. The problem is there's too many. There's too many already, and it's really hard now to make a design that stands out. And most of the time in Kickstarter, it's around the below 500
That's the flying
range.
range.
Yeah, and that is easy to get funded, right? But the problem with that is, the smaller the price range and the smaller the niche that you have, the harder it is to make a second, third, or fourth collection. So the brand doesn't have that kind of longevity that other enthusiasts would eventually ask. So that's why many of the micro brands, they die out like the first collection, and after that there's none. And that kind of stigma kind of stuck around and kind of built up in Kickstarter. Now there's much more skepticism compared to before. And I think it's kind of sad, because now the suppliers that we go to, they're now more than willing to cooperate with you.
Yep.
And as a testament to that, we can see the watch that we were able to make, which I'm really happy about. But now the whole micro brand scene is kind of like stuck in a stalemate of whether to continue making these smaller price range watches, while the suppliers are trying to accommodate even more. But at the same time, doing more of these watches would actually, you know, saturate the market even more.
That's true.
So that's where the buyer, as you are a buyer and a knowledgeable hobbyist, if you're in Kickstarter, if you're looking for watches in Kickstarter, you already know these issues. And maybe you're even one who's trying to make your own watch. And when you start going through all of the information that you're gathering, you'll see, okay, you know what? That's not going to work. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to buy that.
Yep.
Or you know what? I'm going to wait until that's back and then see if I'm going to,
that's true,
to buy that.
And you know the whole drill, right? Like brands now, they come, ask for $5,000 pledge. They mentioned that, okay, we pledged it in under 5 minutes. And they actually don't need the funding. It's just a very, very, very economical marketing tool, you know. So it has been done over and over again. But I think whatever attempts to do something, I'm not gonna call it failures, but it attempts to do something is what solidifies any successes that you're gonna be doing. And the experience that you got out of all of these situations is what moved you to the next step.
Yeah.
Which is my next stop, to be honest. Flux watches. Why Flux watches as a name?
Well, Flux is more about flow, and that's the actual meaning of Flux anyway. And it all started when Albert contacted me because we were in this weird group chat when somebody tried to ask for exactly a $5,000 or $5,000 or $2,000 watch that we could see in AliExpress that they basically rebranded, and somebody pointed that out. And eventually that guy left, and we're all watch enthusiasts in this weird room which has no moderator. And I started to tell my story about the 3 Kickstarter failures that I have and show off my drawings.
Yeah.
And then Albert contacted me privately. He said, hey, you have one of those watches that kind of looks similar to what I wanted to make. You know, so, and I tried to say, okay, this is why. That's why this angle of the bracelet is like this, because it flows back to that, you know, and then that semi-adjacent line also flows back to this. And I think that makes a desirable profile that you don't see often, but at the same time, it's familiar enough for people to be able to buy it. And he said, oh, you know what? I like it. Let's do it. I said, okay. Well, I was happy to hear that, because like my experience with Indonesian horology story, I said, okay. But now this time, I'm a little bit more hesitant, a little bit more careful compared to before. Of course, experience, you know, and failures. It's always I'm always welcome. Not welcome, but I'm always accepting of failure. Avoid it as much as possible, but learn from it if you can. So, okay, let's do this. I tried to make that watch with as much stock supplies or parts as possible, and I contacted some of the suppliers that I already know, and they said, okay, this is possible. And it turns out one of the suppliers that he already went to before was the same supplier. Okay, so I know the guy, I know the lady that I'm in contact with. He said, oh yeah, you know what, I have a problem with her, and then they couldn't understand what I'm doing. Okay, yeah, because you're not drawing anything, but I could draw. So that's why when I draw, it's easier for them to understand, even if there's a language barrier, you know? Oh, yeah. And that's when it started to click. And then at some point he said, okay, let's do it. Let's call it something. And I like, oh, well, Flux. You know, and yeah, I like that. And it's kind of like also like the flux capacitor in
Yes.
Back to the Future. And that helix is a very natural design, you know? The helix shape, and that's where you see it in Mercedes, you see it in some other brand. And it's simple yet complex in a way, and it's symmetrical also, so it's perfect for a watch brand. And that's what we now have a brand, and 8 months later we have a product to launch to people.
Yeah, and talking about the first model, which is Quadrus. To be honest, I mean, I've seen the videos that you sent me, the renders, which for God's sake you do it on your iPad. I don't know how can someone do that, but this is how versatile you are. And I really liked it, but it's nothing in it on off the shelf. I mean, every single thing is either customized or done from scratch.
Yeah.
Maybe we can touch a little bit on the specs because we have it here. So
Yeah. Well, that's the thing that surprised me, because he said, okay, let's try and make it. And he said, okay, that's good and all. That's nice. But we want to completely design it. Don't give me stock parts. We want something that's really different from the market. Okay, so I tried redesigning. I started with a case and then went to the bezel. And then sooner or later, it just went that almost everything was completely designed from the ground up. And the good thing about iPad now, we keep talking about, Apple should sponsor this video.
yeah, hopefully
this
one
video is
day,
like,
one day, my
sponsored
friend. Who
by
knows?
Apple. It should be. It should be. Apple, you know what to do. Aggie's here. The thing is, the iPad there's an app for that, they say nowadays. No, I'm honestly, I've used other 3D apps before, but in the computer, in a PC. The app that I have in the iPad is very rudimentary. They have some complications here and there, but man, nothing beats doing it straight from the screen.
By your hand.
Yeah, by your hand. Again, back to the hands. And I love that. I used to draw and then try to measure everything. But here, it's draw a line directly.
Very immersive, huh?
Yeah, very immersive. And it came to the point that maybe I could even show you. I have my iPad there. You could even see the actual design on the table. It's amazing. And I said, wow. And that skips a lot of steps, because back in the time, when you design a watch, you have to draw it, you have to see and measure it, and then have to prototype it and see how it fits on your wrist.
Yep.
Now, you could literally see it on the table without going to prototyping because of because of AR. What's AR?
Augmented reality.
Augmented reality, man. And you could see it on my wrist. Okay, this is too small. Let's make it bigger. That really sped up the whole process, and everything in there was ready to export, even 3D printed. If we had a 3D printer, would have been a lot better. But the same software, the same exports are used directly by the suppliers, and they were able to prototype it immediately. Just right now, I got a text from how we're going to change the backplates of the Le Jour Parade movement. And that was all created from the iPad. And they just plug it into their CNC machine and it cuts it. And they said, okay, this is too thin. You have to avoid this. Okay, those minor tweaks that usually takes weeks and months of back and forth are now done in a mere chat, which is amazing.
But you went all in on this one. So Le Jour Parade movement.
Yeah.
You have a customized rotor, integrated bracelet, and even micro adjustment removable links. I mean, this is a lot of mechanism in each and every link.
Yeah, and we were happy enough that our suppliers really pushed hard on this project. And they at first they pushed back. They said, no, we can't do that. Okay, that is true, they can't do that. But we kept on telling them, yeah, we want to really make sure that there's nothing out there like this. We had seen toolless links, for example, that are done differently, but I said, no, this one's not going to work because we have narrower links. And at the same time, I've seen this in other designs, but never in this micro brand, or not in the entry-level luxury arena. They looked for other suppliers, and we found a Japanese supplier that was very, very popular. So the Japanese brands, you can pretty much guess which one of them was able to do it. And they said, yeah, we're able to do it. Of course, for a price, but we're able to do it. Okay, so let's do it. And Albert said, okay, no, let's try it and then see. I even had like some sort of crazy design in there, which is, and we call it the nano adjust mechanism. It really makes an adjustment down to the smallest increment that you could. And the supplier said, yeah, okay, let's try and do it. And lo and behold, they were able to do it as well. So Albert went through the patent office, and he applied for the patent for that. So that is a patent pending. And we did some patent search also for that. There's none.
I have a couple of questions about the design. So there is a depth to the dial. Is it coming from floating NDCs, right?
Yeah.
It feels like there are multiple layers of sapphire while they're not.
Yeah.
So the thickness and the case size is what?
It's 12 millimeters at the moment. We're trying very hard to reduce that as well. But hopefully we can. There's the supplier said there's still ways to do that. So hopefully we can execute that in the next prototyping. I think that's also something that we're really. We want to make sure that everybody knows this is just the first prototype of what we're going to make, and we have another batch of prototypes. We want to ensure that the owner of the watch will be proud of something, of supporting our brand. We'll be proud to own a watch that we encourage everybody to abuse the watch as much as possible. We want to make sure.
I mean, I can see what you're doing to it.
This watch is
this close to suing you.
Yeah. Well, probably, yeah. It's in the way, but there's still some refinements there as well. We wanted to make sure that this is as close to an independent watch that you can afford.
Yeah, and this is what my next note would be. You are jumping right into the independent space. You're going for everything customized, patent pending, high-end movement.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not an entry-level movement, and you're jumping right into the independent space.
Yeah, I'm really blessed that I met Albert, and he's willing to take much of this risk, and it's not easy. And to me, the least that I could do is support him in this project. You know, I really wish that he was here also to tell his side, but I think he deserves more credit than that's being mentioned, because I'm the only one mostly talking about it. But ultimately, we wanted to really make sure that the watch enthusiast gets something that is not just unique, but at the same time competes with other brands, especially in Swiss arena, you know. And like we have 904L steel, which we have 800 Vickers of hardness into it. We have endless toolless links. We have quick release end links, that's my always go-to function, you know, because of my strap changing thing going on. And and also with my experience with luxury watches in my day job now, it turned into a day job of handling watches from Switzerland, the big boys, the big brands like Hublot, IWC. And I say, hey, we can actually do what they're doing too. We just need to talk to the suppliers that we have. We just need to make sure that we have the communication as efficient as possible and as detailed as possible, so that they're able to do it. It took 10 different suppliers for this one. Actually going 11, I think. But it's a testament to what the watch industry could actually do, and not having for the enthusiasts to be taxed with so much compared to the big brands.
But it is showing that you took your time in every single thing. I mean, this is a watch I would buy, to be honest, and I'm really hard to impress. I'm a really hard guy to impress. And even for a prototype, it's pretty done very, very, it's very clean, right? The only thing I would have loved, maybe that's a feedback from a prospect customer, to see it, I know it's hard, but to see it 10 mm in thickness, that would have made it perfect, Other than this, I wouldn't change anything. Maybe to see more dial colors.
Oh, Albert loves dials, so we have a lot in store.
Yeah, and shout out to Albert, by the way, because I like the guy so much. We forgot to shout out to him, but I can see it in multiple colors, to be honest. And this is aimed, we're not going to take anything against you, but this is aimed to be retailed at how much?
We're expecting around 3,000 to retail, but I can assure everyone that all of that came at a good cost. It's not like CW, who's already open to say that our retail structure is 3x, is 3 times. This is not 3 times, way below that.
Yeah,
and you could see it in the product itself. I'd say that it's costly to produce something like this.
Yeah, it's from scratch.
Yeah,
like
and,
it is from scratch.
As much as we're proud about that, but we need to be transparent as well when it comes to the cost of things. Yeah, some people might say it's yeah, of course, way above the micro brand thing, but we're not taking advantage of the person, of the one that we designed this for, the owner. We want something that it's a representation of aspiration as well, you know, that you be inspired to do something like this. And if you can't get one yet, and we're pretty sure that there are ways that you could do it. And if you can make something that's similar, of course, here's the testament to that. We're able to do it. Why can't you? You know, everybody can do it. It just needs a little bit of dedication. It needs a little bit of connections, and yeah, love for the craft. And especially now in the age of AI, I always say the human touch is irreplaceable and invaluable. True. And in fact, if a $5 watch could be easily as valuable as a $50,000 watch, just because of the craft and just because of the person behind it, the artist behind it.
But last thing maybe that I would like to mention is that I'm really appreciating you jumping into a price range which is a little bit risky. You could have done a $500 watch, as you're mentioning, to be a cash grab. Do some cash, better cash actually, on a $500 watch, and everybody is happy. So this is a lot of work that is invested in, but this is building a legacy. So this what I like about it, that you're doing something unique, something which I think collectors are gonna be falling in love with, and I'm really appreciating this. Not everybody would do so. I wouldn't do so.
Yeah, and honestly, that we wanted to stick around, and that's the whole point of patenting the technology. It's not we want to to ensure to people that this watch should be here, as long as we put our efforts into it, as long as also the watch community supports it and likes it, we will continue to make watches. We invested not just a lot of time, but also a lot of future, so to say, like what you said also, in this design. Actually, we already designed 4 different watches. This is just the first one. We already have a second version coming out, and we already have a different watch, but given the same attention. So if you see,
you're not rushing anything.
No, we're not rushing anything, but at the same time, we want to continue working, and I think that's something that I really appreciate with Albert, and that he's willing to keep on working on stuff. He's never just satisfied with just one, but at the same time, he's not rushing it, because we could have easily launched this a few months ago, especially trying to hit that holiday season. But there's some complications with the manufacturing. There's some complications with the toolless links, and we felt that, oh no, it's not enough. And the thickness.
Yes.
We're still fighting against that. So we know that there's a certain line that you need to cross when it comes to producing, at the same time holding back if it's not good enough. we're both enthusiasts. I'm an enthusiast and a lover of design. He's in the collecting side, and he wants to imbue as much value on the watch and not just in the MSRP. You know.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. And it's good to know that you're already working on multiple other models. So can't wait to see this.
Yeah.
Actually, you can share me.
Yeah,
Share
I'll
this
show
with
you
me offline.
for sure.
So, but maybe my last question to you is gonna be two parts actually. The first thing, what's your vision for Flux? The second thing is gonna be what's your vision for Design Atelier, because I see both related. I see you as one brand having multiple projects going on. So first, what's the vision for Flux watches? What do you wanna be?
Yeah. For Flux watches, it should be easy because it's a shared vision between me and Albert, and so far we both agree with the vision that we want to give the best high-end watches for the enthusiasts without charging them the high-end pricing. You know, as much as possible, this is the affordable arm of our vision. You know, and we want to make more watches. We started maybe in the most difficult one, which is the sports.
Integrated
sports
bracelet. Yeah, it's
That's
very difficult.
the next one for sure is going to be a little bit more budget friendly, and at the same time still has the technology. We also are trying to do some patents on that as well, as soon as we could actually prove to the patent office that this actually works. I'll show you later what I mean. But that one is a lot more affordable than this, but at the same time it's not too affordable that you have doubts of whether this is going to be a durable watch or not. But that one's going to be a really durable watch, and that's a totally different market or totally different kind of person, because there's a certain kind of person that wears this watch, and the other kind we don't want to be alienated to. We want them also to be enthusiasts, to love watches and to love technology, to love innovation as much. I don't want to. I hesitate to say innovation because I don't know if that thing is done before or not. You know, but we try to imbue as much technology, as much new stuff in our watches, and that's for Flux. We also have another brand that we're working on that's going to be a little bit higher end, and that's where whatever we gain from this, we try to reinvest to all of our future projects. And that one is, if this was trying to limit put as much as possible within the budget of the watch enthusiast, this one is when there's the watch enthusiast is willing to really connect with us in a personal level, and we don't have the barriers of the suppliers. When we want to like custom movements, really more higher end materials, that's where we wanted to in the future, in this other say brand that we could talk to about maybe in the future when we're able to because I also already have some watches there, like it's like vaguely formed, that we already have some ideas of what we need to introduce there. But there we're going to modify a lot of the movements, even maybe commission some really because the ones that we wanted to do, the regular suppliers couldn't do it. We need some really expert movement makers for that.
But you're gonna maintain the concept of getting the best value for money. Either you're gonna be spending 3 or 10.
That for sure. But of course, we have to be realistic also. That's going to be a different category for sure, and not just that's completely out of the affordable. You know, that's just putting it bluntly.
And what about Design Atelier?
Yeah, well, surprisingly, I thought that's going to go away because I'm going to focus on more watches that I design. But Design Atelier is going to stay because I love the connection with brands, and that's something that I couldn't give up. I think the connection, say for example, Venecianico, Zelos, those are the two main ones that I connect with. To Watchco, like just to name a few. Vicaria is also
Yeah.
a really good friend. You know, Cesar and no, not Cesar. Sorry, that's a different one. But the connection with smaller brands, I always respect, because that's where we came from. And in a way, we are still also a smaller. Well, we're not a full brand or yet, but we're also a smaller brand ourselves. And I think there's value in looking back at where you came from. And I always tell even my kids, do not disrespect the previous generation. Always pay their dues, give them the respect as much as you could, give them their flowers, so to speak. And I don't want, because that's a mentality that I don't want the next generation to have. Because whatever our generation, my generation, whatever we're doing, we want to pass it on to the next generation. But if the next generation doesn't appreciate that kind of mentality, then at some point the art will be lost. And I think that's where part of the human nature will be lost as well, if we don't continue with the next generation that same attitude. And it's all because of respect.
Yeah.
And I think that respect is a very, very big aspect of our humanity that sets us apart from other beings.
No, I mean, I totally get your point. The next generation is the main motive for anything that we do, you know, on daily basis, any action. And regarding me asking the plans for Design Atelier, because I want to make sure the Design Atelier remains, because I consume a lot, my friend. I consume a lot of watching hours, so I'm making sure that I'll continue doing that. And yeah, since we are running out of time, let me.
I ramble a lot.
No. I wish this episode was fun enough for you as it was for me, to be honest. And again, I would like to thank you so much for joining me today in the Humble Studio. And I hope it's not gonna be our last connect. Hopefully to see the final prototype in Dubai this year again. And yeah, thank you so much. And for those who are watching us at home, thank you so much for watching us. Please, if you stayed till this point, please make sure to like and subscribe. And until next time.